Good day, good day, good day, everyone. How are you on this beautiful, beautiful day? I hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you might be around the world. Hopefully you're slowly getting outside, at least to get some fresh air and some sunshine. We need that vitamin D, people. We need that vitamin D. At the same time, I hope you're keeping safe and healthy. That's all we all want to be praying for right now. And I am, and the entire Shedding the Bitch community is thinking about each and every one of you out there and praying for you each and every day. So I am really excited about today's program. We are going to be talking about how you can thrive as a go-to expert and gain the dream clients that you're looking for. And I want you to all forget about the fact that you're in the middle of this chaos right now. We're going to talk to it, but realizing the fact that you have opportunities that you could be going out and really kind of grabbing that brass ring. So that's what we want to talk about. All right. Today, our special guest is publicity expert Sharon Bolt. And we want to talk about how to get in front of your dream clients as an authority in your niche and to create sales during this lockdown, social distancing, and beyond it. The COVID-19 pandemic certainly has caused many business owners to become fearful about their future. You'll learn how to keep your business visible, be seen as the expert in your field, and get in front of your dream clients by creating win-win situations with the media. Now, this means no blogging, Facebook ads, or tech. Getting media exposure is the perfect strategy for creating a thriving business. So this is what I want you to listen for, because this is what she's going to share with us. How to get in front of your dream clients as an authority, how to keep your business visible and the sales coming in, how to get in front of your dream clients as the go-to expert in your niche. The perfect strategy for creating a thriving business during a pandemic and beyond that. So for Sharon and for the rest of you, especially if you're joining us for the first time, we like to ground you in a rich question. And a rich question is something based on this topic that I want you to be considering for yourself. So you might be listening to this, driving, doing, errands, but I really also want you to be paying attention to how does this topic relate to you and how can you be impacted by it? So your rich question for today is, what are you doing to generate sales right now as the go-to expert in your niche? And if you hesitate in any way, shape, or form in answering that, maybe you're not doing anything. This is definitely the conversation you want to be a part of. Now, if you want to Facebook and tweet with us and you want to get to us so we can give Sharon your questions, comments, challenges, then use hashtag post-COVID success, hashtag publicity, hashtag transformation, and of course, hashtag shed the bitch. Now, before we dive in, I need to just kind of thank a couple of our organizations that have supported the Shedding the Bitch community and our radio podcast for a number of years. First is Deborah Parker of Parker House Virtual Services. She provides virtual assistance and social media to small and corporate-sized clients. You can email her. She's my personal assistant. You can email her at deborahparker.va@gmail.com. I also need to thank Debbie Snelling of North Georgia Tax Solutions. They are a full-service tax and financial services organization who also supports small to corporate-sized clients. You can reach them and learn more at ngtaxsolutions.com. All right, so let's meet our guest. Sharon is, and we need to talk about this because I'm a dog lover. Sharon Bolt is a dog and publicity expert and the founder of Good Dogs and Get Free Publicity Today. During the last 13 years, she has contributed to more than 50 local and national newspapers, magazines, TV, and radio shows, and has received over $2 million in free publicity and free advertising for her clients. Sharon is a regular contributor to entrepreneur.com, has written for the HuffPost, and has been interviewed on some of the top podcast shows from all around the world. She is also the co-author of 2 highly acclaimed books called Successful Women in Business and Every Entrepreneur's Guide, Running Your Own Business. Now, Sharon has been featured in the BBC's TV show, Britain's Most Embarrassing Pets, and Channel 5's When TV Animals Go Horribly Wrong. She has also had a regular slot on BBC Radio since 2008, where she answers the listeners' questions. Her online dog training courses sell all over the world, and her main focus today is teaching business owners and entrepreneurs how to build a brand, increase visibility, and grow their business by creating win-win situations with the media. Now, while we're talking, I also want you to make note. Go to getfreepublicitytoday.com and you can learn even more about how Sharon can help you. Now, I know we're here to talk about publicity, but I can't ignore the little pet side, the dog side thing. Mine is here and I'm waiting for her to want to chime in. But just give us a quick blip on that. Like, how did you get into it? Are you a dog lover? Do you have a bunch of dogs running around the house?
Hi, Bernadette. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you.
Yes, I love dogs. Absolutely love dogs. Grew up with dogs, always been a dog lover. And really, my life changed and my career when we got 2 8-week-old Parson Russell Terriers. And we brought them home and they were just incy wincy. They were in my hands. And I thought, you know what, we need to get them into some puppy socialization classes. But unfortunately, they were all booked up. So I spoke to 7 or 8 different dog trainers and they all said the same thing to me, which was, oh my goodness, you've taken on the worst case scenario. They'll do whatever they like. They're blood related. They'll fight for the top dog position and you'll probably need to rehome one of them. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? I mean, how could I give one of these little puppies up? So I was on a mission. I was on a mission to find a way that my dogs would understand me. And I knew it had to be different than the conventional dog training methods because that's what I've been told so many times by conventional dog trainers. Nice. So as I say, I was on a mission, I studied, I read, but I really watched how they interacted with each other. And at the time I had a complementary therapy practice and I was helping people with bad backs, from anything from it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be nutritional. So I was just really having a great time playing a part in other people's healing journeys. But I was just so passionate about these little puppies and just really learning about them. So I started to introduce dog training into my complementary therapy practice. And then what happened, Bernadette, was that it was my husband actually, who was listening to a radio station here in the UK, which was BBC Radio 2. And they have about 6 million listeners. And they said that they were going to get a dog training expert on the phone. They were going to interview them in the studio regarding dog training and unwanted behaviours. And you know what? I thought, I could do that. Now, at the time, I had no dog training business. Of course, I was having great results with my dogs and also my complementary therapy people's dogs. But I had no website, I had no subscriber list. I literally had a page on my complementary therapy website about dogs. That was it.
Nice.
And no, I didn't have years and years of experience or anything, but I was seeing great results and I was so passionate and I really wanted to start a dog training business, but I had no real clients, nobody knew about me. And I thought, you know what, this is a brilliant opportunity for me to really launch a new business and go for it. And I really believed I could make a difference and help. So that's what I did. I emailed the radio show and I got nothing back. And it actually took 3 emails and I just never gave up. I just really believed I could make a difference. Yep. And then it was a matter of days later, I found myself sitting in the studio up in London asking, or in fact, I was answering listeners' questions on dog-related behaviours. And I loved it.
Nice. That is so. Now talk about really having conviction that what you're supposed to be doing is what's getting you so excited and then you going for it, as well as publicity. Just like
Wow.
knowing that that would be a great opportunity, that publicity would be a great opportunity to build a new business. That is
Well,
awesome.
but the thing is, Bernadette, this is the thing that I know. You know, obviously, I'd been on my own spiritual journey for quite some time.
Mm,
I'd been on a spiritual pilgrimage across India, and I just really felt I wanted to get out there and make a difference.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be about therapies and healing people. I didn't realize at the time it was going to be about dogs and dog owners. But I was just so passionate. But what I did know, and what I would really recommend people do is, you know, okay, this was a national radio station. This was 6 million people. This was really putting myself out there.
Yeah.
And I was passionate and I was excited, but I knew if I told too many people, they would, you know, they'd love me, they care for me, they would project their fears onto me
Mhm.
as to, oh my goodness, no, what if they
Right.
ask you a question you don't know? What if it goes wrong? And I like to play the game of what if it goes right?
Yes.
So I cocooned myself and just stayed focused on this was going to be fun and I was going to have a great time and they were all going to be lovely to me and it was going to be just amazing. And then I went and I only told people after, and of course people heard the interview and thought, oh my goodness, that's Sharon.
Oh, that's so, what a great story. I'm glad I asked. I am so glad now let me ask you, because you mentioned going up to London. What part of England are you in?
So I live near Gatwick Airport. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in the southeast of London. So I'm about half an hour from Gatwick Airport. If people know whereabouts that is in the country.
All right. Very nice. I just needed to throw that in there too, because, you know, the accent. Uh, okay. So let's segue into, now, was that your segue into recognizing that publicity is so powerful, or how did you work your way into, Get Publicity Today that you work on?
Well, yes, I mean, my transition then into my new business, because I was now known, this was the great thing, and the credibility, that was what was really important for me, Bernadette. Although I wasn't set up, truthfully, I wasn't set up to get a lot of sales from that huge publicity spot, because obviously I wasn't. I had one page on a website. I just wasn't set up, and of course I would always recommend people do get set up first. However, I would never suggest miss an opportunity. Like, I wasn't prepared to miss an opportunity because I wasn't set up.
Nice.
But one thing that it did do for me, Bernadette, was the fact that it gave me huge credibility.
Mhm.
So, of course, on my marketing then was as featured, as heard on BBC Radio 2. Everyone
Beautiful.
knows all through the world about BBC.
Right.
And of course, in the UK, BBC Radio 2 is extremely well known. It's a national radio station. So it's huge credibility. So
Absolutely.
it made my transition into my new business very seamless.
Absolutely. And everyone around the world knows BBC. So
Yes.
you probably heard my voice inflect when I was like, BBC, because yeah, everyone knows BBC and holds it in high regard. So how does PR, it benefited you, obviously, so we can kind of extract from that, but how does it benefit business owners and entrepreneurs in ways
Well,
they may not think about?
yeah, okay, great. Well, the first thing to say is it's free. Now, that's a huge benefit, isn't it? I mean, rarely do you ever pay for any PR opportunity. And the great thing is that when you are featured, either in what's called conventional media, such as the newspapers, magazines, or on radio or TV shows, or like the podcast shows here, or being a blog editor, blog contributor, you are automatically seen as an expert in your field.
Mhm.
It's like the media are endorsing you. You
Right.
know, it's like that they've searched high and low, and that they found you as the expert and the go-to authority in your niche. So it's like an unspoken thing. You know, you don't really need to say it yourself. The fact that you're being featured on whatever media channel it is, it automatically says that you know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Now, when you can pay for all types of advertising, but you are advertising then. It has a whole different scenario and perception of your prospective clients.
Sure.
So that's really a biggie of it. Also, you can reach, you can get in front of thousands or even millions
Yeah,
of your target market, of your ideal people. So
sure.
it's huge for credibility, it's huge for getting you in front of your ideal people, your dream clients. It's also evergreen content a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for this podcast shows, I love podcast shows. That's just wonderful. It's evergreen content that's out there. So it's just endless, the amount of benefits that we get as entrepreneurs and business owners for getting media attention. Also, we stand out from the crowd. It's all about social media, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be a part of our marketing strategies, but it seems to me that so many business owners are missing out on getting media attention simply because they don't know how to start or what to do.
Right. Or do they feel that they're not, do you run into, kind of coaching your clients because they feel like they're not worthy or smart enough, or they're not the expert, and therefore forget about knowing how to go and ask and get it, but more so you have to break down. Do you work on breaking down those insecurities that
Yes.
people deal with?
Absolutely, Bernadette, and you're absolutely right there, because people, we've been brought up, I think, in a big respect that you don't put yourself out there, you don't big yourself up. It's not about self-promotion. You should really wait for somebody else to do it. And I'm saying, no, you've got to do it yourself. You've got to put yourself forward. You've got to have that self-belief. And if you're passionate about your business, you don't have to have years and years of experience. In my experience, when you're interviewed, and I've been interviewed on TV, radio, all over in different media channels, and people want to know the same types of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do get some different type questions, and obviously I teach people how to deal with those type of questions, but really there's about 5 or 6 regular questions that you're asked.
Right.
And it's really the things that your clients now are asking. They're the questions that you're going to be asked in the media.
Yeah.
So it really is about putting yourself out there, claiming that expert slot, and don't wait for somebody else to validate you.
Cheers, cheers. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Don't wait for someone to validate you. You're already perfect and exactly what is needed out in the media.
Definitely. You've just got to see that. Don't wait for somebody else to point it out. Of course, we all love it when somebody tells us that we're really good at something, but don't wait for that. Tell yourself the story about how good you are, how passionate you are, how you're making a difference, and believe the results that you're seeing in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said it earlier in your discussion about your own experience with getting that publicity for your dog. As a dog expert, you said you weren't going to share it with a lot of people because all of a sudden they'll try to, kind of shut you down, kind of question you and judge you and ridicule you and tell you that you can't. So, I think it relates perfectly here is, don't wait for someone else to validate you, because they may not ever, simply because you're going after your dreams and you're pursuing what it is that you're meant to do. And I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Now, do you have any examples? Because people are probably like, oh, well, I can't get media now because it's all about, the medical side of COVID. But do you have examples of how people can leverage and get media attention right now, even through this pandemic?
Absolutely, yes. And to be honest, you can get media attention anytime. But the pandemic is actually a really good opportunity for so many businesses to get media attention. So firstly, what you need to ask yourself is, what are my target market asking for? What are their fears? What are their worries at this time? So, this is very serious, that a lot of the media is very serious, on how many deaths there are and things like that. And I think we, as the the public that are listening to this, we want something light-hearted, we want something entertaining, we want something educational, and we want to know how to help ourselves.
Yep.
So if you think about during this time what people are concerned about, what they're worried about, say for example, one of the top things is financial help they're looking for. So of course, if you're an accountant, if you're a financial advisor or a wealth or money advisor, of course, there's great opportunities here for you to just help people of things that they can do in order to get through this time. And I'm certainly here in the UK, there's a lot of grants that are being given out. It's fantastic. But of course, it's complicated. And a lot of people are deciding, oh, it's just too complicated. I can't go through that. There's forms to fill in. So you as the expert come along and you say, right, this is how you do it. This is what you're entitled to. So you do a step-by-step guide of how people can easily do it. Now, things like this, the media will love, because of course they can educate their audience. So that's just one example. Say you're an accountant or, something to do with financial help. But of course, there's also things like weight loss. I don't know if it's the same with you, Bernadette, in the US at the moment. But of course, because so many people are at home now, we're all going to the fridge and we're eating more. So people are finding that they're getting this weight gain. So if you're a nutritionist, if you're a chef, if you do anything to do, you could be a food blogger. Now you come up with some healthy recipes for people to follow. You can do some videos on what people can do step by step. You show them how to cook healthy meals. People will love this, and so will the media.
Yep.
Same thing goes with fitness. We in the UK at the moment, we are only allowed to go out once a day. So, you could be a personal trainer, you could be a fitness expert, a PE teacher even, that you then explain how people can get the very best from exercising once a day when they're out. And also you can do like an exercise video or something that people can do then in their home. So again, the media will love this. Now, one thing to say here clearly though, if the media have already heard about this, they're looking for something unique. They're looking for something original. So if there's all, people have already said this recipe is really good and it's been featured, you need to get creative and find something else.
That's a brilliant point. Brilliant.
Yeah, this isn't about seeing what people are doing, what your competitors are doing. You need to really dig deep and think what you have differently that you can share. Yeah. So that's a crucial thing to do. One thing that I'm, as a dog expert, of course, there's a number of things that people are, that I'm hearing people are concerned about. And I wrote down, something that I'm going to pitch myself. And the first one is 5 easy but impressive tricks to teach your dog during lockdown. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be
a blast? My dog just went, huh?
Exactly. So, people, oh, yeah, I'm at home with my dog. I'd love to, you teach your dog how to high five. And, there's lots of other things that, tricks that I could explain how to do. So that was one thing that I did. The other thing that I did was, should I get a dog during a pandemic? Because a lot of people are considering getting a dog now, or have even bought dogs now because they're at home. But what about when they go back to work?
Right.
The rescue centres are going to be absolutely full of unwanted dogs again. So, an educational type pitch, that one would be. And also that I'm hearing so much is that, we're at home with our dogs a lot of the time now. So what happens about separation anxiety for our dogs when we go back to normality and go back to work? True. So I've come up with, will my dog have separation anxiety when I return to work after lockdown? And then obviously within that type of content, I will be explaining what people can do to prevent that anxiety from happening, what they can do now in preparation for when they go back to work. So that was, you know, a little bit that I was thinking there. And then lastly, literally what we're talking about here, how to get in front of your dream clients as an authority in your niche and create sales during lockdown, social distancing and beyond.
Right.
So, you know, this type of thing, educating people how they can still do it, how they can keep their business visible during this time. And with that, okay, if that's for a media expert like myself, or a social media expert, you know, may look at things like this, as well as business advisors.
Absolutely.
So there's some actual physical things that people can do. But I mean, it's just endless. I saw this just before we started recording. I saw this fantastic tutorial of this lady who was showing, she was a hairdresser, and she was showing how you can cut a fringe, it's called a fringe or bangs in the US, into your hair. So, you know, how to cut your husband's hair, how to cut your wife's hair, how to cut your children's hair, step-by-step videos. People want this type of information, and the media will thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. No, and you're right. It covers every single gamut, you know, whether it's jewelry or it's yoga or it's you're a widget company or yeah. I mean, it's just,
well.
Pardon me?
Gardeners, you know, how about a tutorial on how to landscape your garden during lockdown? I mean, people would love that.
Absolutely. How to draw, how to play the piano. I mean, you're right. It's endless. And on that note, I just want to throw a tip in here. You know, everyone should have like a little journal idea book, you know, like this is mine. You know, just a little thing, and, you know, or it could be a big thing. And when you come up with ideas that Sharon's talking about, of things that you could be pitching, things you could be doing, things you could be creating, you know, write them down and then turn them into something that could be created into a pitch. Okay. So that said, good segue is, you know, so how does someone go about, you know, so yes, they have this laundry list of things they could be pitching. You know, what advice do you have to kind of, you know, the first steps they should be taking and they could be taking to get that publicity?
Yeah, great question, Bernadette. The way to do this is to come up, whether it be your top podcast show you'd love to be a guest on, or whether it be your newspaper or a magazine or TV or radio. All of this conventional media are still doing interviews now, whether it be a video interview if it's on TV, whether it be a telephone interview. I'm doing a load of telephone interviews with radio stations during this time. And I do, anyway, this is why I say and beyond, because this is no different for me. And this, you know, the media is fantastic at getting you out there. And of course, it ticks all the boxes for social distancing and lockdown. So it's just the perfect strategy. But what I suggest is to get your list of where your ideal places to be interviewed on is. And this has to be naturally media channels that have your target market. They have your audience. So let's take podcasting shows, for example. You would have a look at your, say your top 3 podcast shows that you would like to be a guest on. Now, the key thing is, whether it be podcast shows or whether it be a newspaper or whatever it is, make sure you do your research. So listen to the podcast show, read the newspaper, listen to the radio show, watch the TV program, so you know and get a feel for what it's about, what they're looking for. You can come up with story ideas simply by listening to the type of content that they like to share. For example, podcast shows, as you well know, Bernadette, some shows like to interview guests that have an inspiring story. Other podcast show hosts like to interview guests that can give great tips and advice to their listeners, and sometimes it's a bit of both. So what type of story ideas do they come up with? And sorry, what type of stories do they like to cover? And how can you then come up with something that is going to tick their boxes? So it's not about, oh, I've got these types of credentials. It's not about that. It's about what can you do in order to tick their boxes and educate their listeners or inspire their listeners.
Right.
So that's a key thing. So once you've done that, it's important to do your homework, to do your research, and then you can then start looking for the podcaster's email address and obviously their name, which is often available on the website. There is either a contact form or there is a specific email address. And I have to be honest and say, for podcast shows, it is easier to get hold of a direct email address than it is obviously from a top BBC radio station, for example.
Right.
So then, of course, that's when you're going to start pitching. And it's like you're pitching a potential episode idea. So like for our episode here is how to get in front of your dream clients as an authority in your niche and create sales during lockdown, social distancing and beyond. That was the pitch for the podcast show idea.
And that was a great, I'll call it a teaser. That was a great teaser that got my attention. Because I want to comment on something that you said about the research, being someone that interviews people and, from a media, if you look at it from a media perspective, and nothing is more frustrating considering the level of emails and communications I get. Nothing's more frustrating when someone pitches something and it has nothing to do with, the scope of what Shedding the Bitch Radio is all about. Yeah. And it's kind of like, all right, so I just wasted my time reading that and whatnot. But yes, so you're absolutely right. Do the research and then yes, come up with those topics. That's awesome. All right. Anything else?
Well, I think that you have to be a match. You're looking to see how can you bring value to the podcaster show or the TV show or the newspaper. What can you do to add value? That's what you're looking for here. And one thing that I really want to say is you can do this yourself. I've always done my own PR. And I teach people how to do their own PR because it's about empowering you as the business owner and entrepreneur to really get the best out of you. Nobody is better at promoting you and knowing all about you and your business than you. Yep. And journalists love talking to the actual business owner, not a third party. Yeah. So you can do this yourself. And, it's just a case of knowing what to do. But then you're just up and running and you're in control of what you get publicity-wise.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, everyone, learning what you need and how to do it. Let me do a little pitch for her as far as she has a special offer just for our Shedding the Bitch community. And I always love that. But she's created an offer. It's a video program called The Podcast Show Hosts Are Looking for You. So this is a way to get publicity. These podcast show hosts are looking for you. It's a perfect start for business owners who want to start getting podcast interviews. So now it's in euros, but you could just go to getfreepublicity.mykajabi.com/podcasting. For all that information. Do you know what it is in US dollars?
Well, it's actually £7.
Okay.
And it's usually £97, but okay. I'm doing this special just for £7. So I would say that's possibly something like $9 or something like that. $10 maybe.
Right.
Just to really get people up and running and started and literally what I teach people and what I show people doing that video, they can start getting podcast shows straight away as interviews on podcast shows.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm even more, you have a webinar training as well for your listeners on your website, because I can sense everybody sitting there going, yes, but I don't know what to say and what to do, that type of thing. So you can also go to getfreepublicitytoday.com. And there's a webinar training out there as well, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that one's called, I've just got it here, 5 steps that get you in front of thousands or even millions of your dream clients and positions you as the go-to expert in your niche fast. So it's a webinar training. I go through 5 steps. And as we said before, there's no need for blogging or tech or paid ads. That's the thing. Again, it's free.
Right.
And the webinar is free.
You can't beat that, people. You absolutely can't beat that. All right. So what last 1 or 2 tips would you have for our viewers and listeners regarding the fact of if they are apprehensive in any way of putting themselves out there?
Well, one of the things, if I say what is probably the number 1 mistake that business owners make when they're trying to get publicity, is that they try to make the pitch all about themselves. You know, where they say, you know, I've been in business for 20 years, I've got this accolades, and in the nicest positive, nicest way possible, that journalists don't care. They just don't care. They want to know what you can do for them. So you make the pitch all about them, what they can do for you. When I pitched that BBC radio station, you know, all those years ago, I never said, I didn't have a business. So, I wasn't even going to be saying that anyway, but I knew that didn't matter. I just made it all about them, how I could educate their listeners, why these behaviors were happening and what they could do in order to make a difference to their dog's life and their life if they followed my tips and advice. Yep. So it was all about how they would benefit by me being on their show. Yep. So always make it about them and not about you. Yes, at the bottom of the pitch, you can then do a short bio of about you, just so that they have some idea about what you're about. But let me tell you, I've worked with so many journalists now. They really don't care about you. They've got a job to do. They've got an audience to entertain and educate. And it's only down the line when, you start to become not really friends as such, but well acquainted, right, that they want to know a bit more about you. Right. So always make it about the media that you're pitching and not about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, and I have to, because this will lend itself into this as a tip. During some of my Biz Thrive Snaps, I call them, they're like 15-minute brief interviews. One of my main questions is, what benefits or values do you provide your customer? What I'm looking for is the emotional, personal impact that someone's business has on their customers. I'm not looking for the feature and functions, and I have great products, and I've been around for 25 years, and you can rely on me. That I'm looking for, kind of what change, what transformation, what improvement, what value are you bringing to that person that you're working with? So it's very much in line with what you're saying.
Absolutely.
It's not about your profile. It's not about your expertise and your resume. It's not about the resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Anything else? And then I will remind everyone of how they can reach you and your programs that you have.
I just want to encourage people to do it, to believe in themselves. As I said earlier, don't wait for others to validate you. You are good enough. You are good enough. If you are passionate about your business, you have a great story to tell. And just because the story sounds normal and perhaps not anything out of this world to you, it's still inspirational to other people, and journalists will be interested in that. So go for it. Put on your big girl pants or your big boy pants and just go for it.
I love that. I love that. It's true. You can move and transform one person by you getting out of your comfort zone. I love that. Love it. Okay. I want to remind people, Sharon Bolt, definitely look her up. GetFreePublicityToday.com is her main site. but she has a couple of great offers for you, everyone. So you could be learning how these podcast shows are looking for you, and you can learn more about how to get those podcasts attention in order for you to get immediate publicity. And it's normally 97 pounds, but the special offer is $7, which is about $10 US or elsewhere in the world. But so go to getfreepublicitytoday.mykajabi.com/podcasting. But you should also then go to her website, getfreepublicitytoday.com, and check out that free webinar training. The masterclass is 5 steps that get you in front of thousands or even millions of your dream clients and positions you as the go-to expert in your niche, without the blogging and Facebook and all that kind of good stuff. You don't want to miss those opportunities to get both of those expert trainings. Now, of course, you can also reach out to her directly. Just email her at sharon.getfreepublicitytoday@gmail.com and take advantage of it, because right now everyone's pivoting, everyone's shifting, everyone's moving into a new direction. Grasp it. Leverage this time to get your expertise out there so you can be inspiring and educating other people. Sharon, thank you so much for being part of the program. This has been absolutely awesome.
It's my pleasure, Bernadette. I've so enjoyed being a guest on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. And for everyone here in the Shedding the Bitch community, we will be right back here next Tuesday at noon Eastern Time for another episode of Shedding the Bitch Radio. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Boas. Join Bernadette every Tuesday at noon Eastern as she helps you shift your bitches to riches. And the dialogue is always going on at sheddingthebitch.com. See you next week.